Hypothermia is the leading factor contributing to cold weather recreational fatalities. It's the lowering of body temperature, and it kills over 1,000 people each year.
But most of these deaths can be prevented if you know the danger signs and how to react.
Well, Bill, you're an expert on hypothermia. What are some things that people should do to prevent this thing from happening?
Well, Tom, one of the first things they should do is probably never go out alone, especially on a cold day like today. Whether they're boating or hiking, they should always take someone along, just as a safeguard. Dressing in layers is very, very good. That way, if you get warm, you can shed off the outside layers and always put them back on once it starts getting cool again. We find that wool is one of the best natural materials for insulating your body heat, even when you're wet, whether it's perspiration or a dunk from a boat. Polypropylene underwear, some of the new miracle fabrics, are very good in retaining body heat as well when you become wet. If you're going to be in and around the water, take a life jacket and wear it with you. You really need to have that extra flotation if you do fall in the water. And good idea to carry some matches as well.
I understand you don't really have to be drenched in water out in a rainstorm to get hypothermia. Is that true?
Absolutely true. Most of the cases of hypothermia occur on days between 30 and 50 degrees. Perspiration and a cool wind's all really needs to do to kick off hypothermia.
Well, what are some of the signs that you should look for if a person might have hypothermia?
Well, besides the shivering and the confusion, the stiff muscles, people often have pale skin, dilated pupils. Pulse often becomes weak, very, very shallow. Respiration is also very, very shallow.
What actually is happening inside the body when hypothermia sets in?
Well, the body's trying to maintain its core temperature, the temperature within the torso, and it shut off circulations to the extremities. So we find that the arms and the legs become very, very cold. And the body's trying to contain that, but it's almost like ice water being circulated throughout. As the body temperature drops, the bodily enzymes and the functions that the body needs to carry on to sustain life just stop.
And if a person has hypothermia, is there a first aid for hypothermia?
If during the first signs of hypothermia, if you can get to someone, probably the easiest thing to do is get them inside and get them warm, get them dry, give them some warm sweet liquids such as hot chocolate, something like that. Always avoid alcohol. Alcohol only dilates the vessels and speeds up the cooling process. If a person's gone much beyond the first stage, the shivering stage of hypothermia, they're probably going to need medical attention. Chemical changes take place throughout the body during hypothermia. They really need to be looked at after a doctor. If it comes to you doing something before you can get to a doctor, if it's going to be some time before you can get to a hospital, concentrate on rewarming the trunk area. Try to keep the extremities cool, not to warm those up. Think of those as large reservoirs of cold blood right now. The body has shut off those extremities, and they're just reservoirs of cold blood, which would just be like ice water getting pumped back into the heart. Apply some external heat to the same areas that they lost their heat out of. The head, the neck, the chest, the rib area, and the groin area are the highest areas of heat loss because they're highly vascularized. A lot of arteries and veins run close to the skin there, and the same reason that they lose heat there, they can gain heat. So warm, wet towels or heating pads can be applied to those areas to help regenerate that lost heat inside the core.